All right. Hello, everybody. Today, thanks for being here. Today, we are going to talk about one of the legendary pop stars of the modern era. And her name is Bjork. And we'll just start today off with a YouTube video. Let me make sure you can hear it in stereo hi-fi. Okay, here we go. This is Bjork talking about a television.
Hello, it is Christmas time and I'm sitting here by my TV. I've been watching it very much lately because I'm on a holiday and I've been seeing all those programs about all sorts of things, about Icelandics being very happy about Christmas, very gay and also very serious and spiritual, and also seeing Icelandic comic people making jokes, which they are very good at. But now I'm curious. I've switched the TV off, and now I want to see how it operates, how it can put me into all those weird situations. So it's about time.
I have no idea why they made this.
This is what it looks like. Look at this. This looks like a city, like a little model of a city. And all the houses which are here, and streets. This is maybe an elevator to go up there. And here are all the wires. These wires, they really take care of all the electrons when they come through here. They take care of that. They are powerful enough to get all the way through here. I read that in a Danish book this morning. And this beautiful television has put me, like I said before, in all sorts of situations. I remember being very scared to it because an Icelandic poet told me that not like in cinemas where the thing that throws the picture from it just sends lights on the screen. But this is different. This is millions and millions of little screens who send a light on you, some sort of electrical light, I'm not really sure. But because there's so many of them, and in fact you're watching very, very many frames when you're watching TV, your head is very busy all the time to calculate and put it all together into one picture. And then, because you're so busy doing that, you don't watch very carefully what the program that you're watching is really about. So you become hypnotized. So all that's on TV, it just goes directly into your brain and you stop judging if it's right or not. So you just swallow and swallow. This is what an Icelandic poet told me once. And I became so scared to television that I always got headaches when I watched it. But then later on, when I got my Danish book on television, I stopped being afraid because I read the truth. And that's the scientific truth, which is much better. You shouldn't let poets lie to you.
TV.
You don't.
Anyway, that is Bjork. Kind of an interesting person all around. She's like one of those kind of polymath type people, sort of like a, modern day Renaissance man or something. Like she is always using technology in a new way. She's always pushing the forefront of sound and always thinking about the future. She's one of the first, right now, she's one of the artists who's using virtual reality, like to its like the biggest possible extent you can use it. She's thinking about like surround sound. Her music videos are crazy, like crazy cool. So yeah, and she is from Iceland. So if you didn't hear her mention that in that video, from the Icelandic poet who told her that TV was hypnotizing her. That video is kind of a meme, by the way. I'm not sure why, but I hope you found it somewhat enjoyable. It's pretty weird. Okay, so today's series is continuing along. We listened to, we focused on the Neptunes on the first day, and then we focused on Timbaland yesterday. And those two producing groups, Timbaland and the Neptunes, are both from Virginia, and they are a part of a scene there. And Timbaland actually has collaborated with Bjork. So in a way, all of these people I'm sharing with you are somewhat connected. So what I think they all have in common is that they are thinking about what the thing sounds like. They know music theory, they understand music theory, but they're detaching themselves from what the music theory is. And the music theory is a tool, the ability to recognize scales and keys and chords and structure and all that. And they're able to detach themselves from it so they can just listen to music like a baby would or something. They're just listening to it as sound. So a continuation of the adventures of sonic scrutiny via the utilization of the pair of frequency detection cavities perforating each side of our skulls. Okay, here we go. So here's Bjork. The picture of her on the right is very famous. It was like really mocked when she wore it to the Oscars, I think. She's also an actress. And just showing you her visual style. And now it's like one of the most memorable dresses. I mean, I don't really care about the Oscars, but I think that's pretty funny. And then on the left, that's one of her more modern photos. She's always doing something really creative visually. She was a part of a band called the Sugar Cubes. And then in the early 90s, and that was kind of a late 80s, early 90s Icelandic band. And then she broke off and started doing her solo project. And she came out with an album called Debut. This is the album cover from it. And we're going to listen to a song from it now called Venus as a Boy. And if you haven't participated in one of my previous classes, the deal is we listen to a song and we're just trying to identify the components of it. It's really like if you were a part of Jordan's class, like types of listening, this is a very active listening thing we're doing here. We're trying to identify instruments, we're identifying intervals, we're identifying rhythms. And what I say is the first time around we listen to these, try to listen and just get first impressions. Like you don't have to take notes or anything. We'll talk about it, share a little bit. And then the second time around, I will be taking notes. Like my hand is going to be working, writing down as many things as I hear. So you do that as well. So this is Venus as a Boy by Bjork, off of her first solo album. Oh, and as you're listening to this, there's a sample in here. And I want you to try to identify what you think the sample is. And usually the sample is sort of something that's like a little off kilter, maybe sonically different from the rest of the music you're hearing or the rest of the sound you're hearing. So think about that. Here we go.
Exciting.
Okay, so that's the basic form. Was that loud for like, could everyone hear that? Okay, it felt like a little quiet on my end. Okay, cool. Okay, so first question, first impressions, and if you if you have a guess at what you think the sample was. There's probably multiple, but there's the main one I'm thinking of. Does everyone know what a sample is? A sample, well, someone explain what a sample is. I saw Tim, you nodded.
It's like a recording of something. It could really be anything, and then manipulating that to be used in like music, like in a digital audio workstation.
Yeah, exactly. So it's basically anything that you didn't personally perform or capture, and then you're taking someone else's work and you're sort of using it in your own music in a cool musical way. So that's what a sample is. So with that in mind, was there any sort of like strange sound? I know there were a lot of strange sounds. Was there any particular one that had an interesting tonal or textural thing about it? I'll give you a clue. It starts pretty much at the beginning of the song. You'll hear it. We've heard it.
It sounds like, well, I just hear like a very large chord smash that's just used like as a percussion instrument.
Yeah, that's it. I'll show you what it is. And I never knew this. And this is what I was blasting earlier, Tim, that you were like, wow, you're really listening to Show and Harp. Some spoilers are here, but don't worry about it. There it is. Did you hear it? It's like a little water drop sound. And then there's 16 minutes of so Bjork apparently heard that little right after this first chord. Heard that and was like, oh, that would be a cool percussion instrument. And then took it and then boom, boom, turned it into a rhythmic thing. I think that's pretty cool. Okay. So that's a sample. Now let's listen to it. And the form is pretty long, so, and class is pretty short. So we're gonna listen to it again. I love the chorus. We probably won't make it to the chorus. That's the, he believes in a beauty. We probably won't make it that far, but write down as many instruments as you hear and listen to how they're being used. Are they panning? Is there delay involved? Is there reverb? You know, things like that. All right. I wrote down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 things. I think there might be a little bit more, but tell me what you heard and tell me what like poked out at you. And I want to hear something from everyone. So let's start with Charlie. Yeah.
This was pretty actually close to the end of what we listened to, but it sounded almost like a tubular bell hit, but in reverse.
Oh. Oh yeah. Was it the like a? How did it sound? Can you vocalize it?
Yeah, it was kind of like the build up to the synth and then like the bell hit. So it's almost like they took the bell hit and then fading off, but then reversed it and kind of made it more dramatic.
Yeah. What did I call that? Nya. I had no idea what to identify that sound as. Let's locate it. I feel like it happens when the music kind of in the right ear where it's like meow meow meow, or was that like this thing? Oh, I missed it. Hold on. Was it that?
Well, that wasn't what I was thinking of, but
Shoot. Dang it. Now I want to.
it was like after she sang for that first bit. It was after
You can keep talking. Like, am I on the right? Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Was it before that?
I think it was after. I don't know.
I'll come back to this. But I think I know what you're talking about. It's sort of like a clang, 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 clang.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Anybody else? Grace, what'd you hear? That's a good one, Charlie.
Did she not put the sound of a passing truck horn in there somewhere?
That might be what that might be what. Oh my gosh. Maybe. What do people think this sound is? That's the thing? Meow,
That's
meow,
it.
meow. I have no idea what that is.
Like it
Maybe
just
that sounds like
Meow.
just a very
It does sound like that.
edited guitar sound.
Meow, 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 meow. What's that effect? I mean, it could just be one sound and then there's a certain effect that's put on it. If it goes meow, 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 meow. Do we know what that's called? Delay, yes. Delay. Echo is what it also is. It's emulating an echo. Okay. Becca, who was born in the music of Bjork. What did you hear?
I mean, there were like the more regular instruments, like there were some strings and a keys type of thing. Maybe it's a synthesizer. I can't really remember. And like
Wait.
a harp.
Oh, like the is that the? Yeah, I don't know what that arpeggio thing was. I can't tell if that was a synth or a harp or something. But yeah, I heard those. I think they're really beautiful string lines. I think she arranges all the strings on her stuff. She arranges most of her music. Yeah, I heard the string lines with like the cool bends. The There's also some strings chords swelling in certain areas. And there's a synth chord that kind of like creeps in when she starts singing that you might not really notice if you're not listening for it. Let me show you. And then there's also that what interval is that? Yeah, major sixth. We'll listen to that for a second and then we'll move on. Okay, so here's the intro. Oh, there's the bell, Charlie. And listen for this synthesizer, and it's just like literally just playing. It's just playing a simple chord, which you might be like, oh, that's sort of a boring or not inspired addition, but it like solidifies the section. It makes it feel like it's arrived somewhere new. It's right when the bell swells and all that stuff. It's really simple. Synth pad is underneath everything now. It just kind of grounds the whole thing. And then let's listen to this synth part. It's doubled with strings. I think that is just beautiful. Okay, let's move along. Good. Oh, wait, let's see. Nathan and Zeka, you'll be first next time, okay? All right. This next one is going to be, oh yeah, Cocoon. Okay, so this is off her 4th album or something. It's called Vespertine, and what's kind of interesting about this is does everyone know what Napster is? So Napster was almost like it was like the first file sharing software, and it's almost like streaming before streaming existed. It was totally illegal. So it was like the internet was first becoming like this practical thing in the late 90s, and people had personal computers in their homes, and the MP3 was first being used as like a file sharing device, like a musical sharing device. It was like the first thing that was like small enough that could be sent across the internet, like via email or whatever. But then also it still retained enough quality that the music still sounded pretty good. It obviously didn't sound great, but for most people it was like, oh wow, free music, I can download it on the internet, this is crazy. That was totally legal, got shut down, but Napster sort of hinted at the streaming revolution that was to come in the music industry. At the time Napster came around, CD sales were everything. And then now, obviously, that is so far from the case. But around the time of that happening, Bjork, who's very technological minded and always thinking to the future, she was like, if people are going to be downloading my album and listening to it in MP3 format, what would sound good as like this really compressed MP3 file? So she's already thinking like, well, if this is the future of music, things are going to be over the internet, it won't be this high quality CD or whatever. What would still sound good? So she used Pro Tools, which was also a thing around this time, like one of the first mainstream DAWs. And she went around finding these like glitchy percussive sounds, because she figured those could sound good over, even if something was this really compressed, low quality sound file. I think it was pretty amazing just to have your mind always on that. So let's listen to it. And this time, obviously, just first impressions. let's just stop there. What are your first impressions? Does this sound like the first song we listened to? I think it's radically different. What do you hear? Like, what are your first impressions?
Well, this kind of sounds like stuff I would hear on YouTube in like 2017 of like people saying, "Oh, look what happened when I made a music of just a water bottle." And
Yeah,
like that's not like a bad thing or something. I think this is like really amazing and innovative, especially since it was written like in the 90s.
yeah. Probably I think 2001 or something like that. Yeah. No, she was always thinking, she's always thinking ahead like that. Cool. Yeah, sounds like someone just used sort of like Lucas's pencil presentation they did yesterday. Like, how many sounds can you make with the pencil? We'll make a whole piece out of it. Any other impressions? Sonically, does it like frequency wise, I'm noticing an emphasis on a specific area of the frequency spectrum. Does anyone notice that? It kind of goes back to the whole Napster low quality MP3 thing. Listen to how she's singing. Do you think that if you were in the room with her, it'd be very loud while she's singing what she's singing? No, I think that it was basically a whisper. And I think that that would come through on a low quality MP3 file. You would hear this really whispery, like super, it sounds like she's whispering in your ear. It's very intimate. It's a little too intimate for some people, probably. Okay, let's play it again and write down the components that you hear. Here we go. And Zeka and Nathan, you'll be up first, so be ready on the draw. Here we go. Whoops.
Restoring my blisses. Who would have known that a boy like him, after sharing my core, would stay going nowhere?
Oh, and there the chord actually finally changes. Up until then, everything has been a major 7 chord, right? Just a single major 7 chord. Okay. Nathan, what did you hear?
I mean, there were a lot of things.
Give me
There's
one or
that-
two.
Yeah, there's that crinkling water bottle sound.
Yeah, there is a water bottle thing for sure. Is that the main beat that you're talking about? That's like
Yeah. Yeah, or like something being crumpled, or like, I don't know, almost like record static.
yeah, you know what? I hear it as like noise. I think if I had to pick a sound from the real world that it sort of sounds like, I would say it sort of sounds like a fireplace crackling, where it's just sort of like little hisses and pops. I think that they're artifacts. Do you know, like when you when you glitch out on a recording, like microphone pops or something like that, it just creates this really unpleasant noise. And she took that noise that most people would say, no, this is an objectively bad sound and we don't want this in our music. And she's like, I'm gonna make a beat out of that. That's what I hear. Okay, good. Zeka, and then I'll get to you, Charlie.
I heard like
there was like a bell kind of thing that then led into like more piano-ish like thing, you know?
Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah. I couldn't tell what that was. Like the boom, 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 and then it'd just be like a fifth, like.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if that was a electric keyboard. It sort of sounded like a vibraphone at times. Yeah. What would you think that was? Or would you have no idea?
I have no idea.
Neither do I, to be honest. But yeah, okay, very cool. Charlie, yeah, would you notice?
So like that crinkly sound you guys were talking about, it
Mhm.
to me it kind of sounded like either the sound you make sometimes when you pull like your headphones out and makes that like pop from the computer,
Yeah.
or it kind of also sounded like a little bit of a broken version of the Logic Pro like metronome. 'Cause, like-
Yeah, sure.
Like it kept echoing down and like a little bit just distorted. So that's what I thought it kind of sounded like.
Yeah, I think those are both pretty accurate. I mean, the metronome in like DAW is designed to be so piercing that you can hear it cut through anything. And is there any sound that's more piercing than like pulling the headphone jack out of your thing and hearing that like electrical short just like zap through? I don't know what it is. I think it's just like some yeah, something when you have like a voltage running through something and you plug it in and it just gives you that zap. It's just like the worst sound. It's like 100% saturated noise. I have no idea what its deal is, what it wants with us. Okay. We're moving on to another song. Those are all great answers. Thank you for participating in this game. This has a sample in it. This is from the same album, and see if you can identify or try to point out what you think the sample is. What sounds kind of weird in this?
Through the warmth, curl of care, your love was sent to me. I'm not sure what to do with it or where to put it. I'm so close to tear and so close to simply calling you up and simply suggesting we go to that hidden place, that we go to that hidden place, we go to that hidden place.
All right, we won't spend too much time on this one, but there's a very clear sample in this song. Did anyone have a guess at what it is? Yeah, Grace.
Like the clap recording that's in just about every song out there.
The clap? Oh yeah, for sure. I think that's just a common rhythm that people know to clap. I don't know if that's a sample. Could be a sample. Maybe it is a sample. But yes, it's a common rhythm. So she sampled it and performed it herself, perhaps. Anybody else have guesses? It's very predominant in the track.
Maybe it's the strings.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
the strings.
I was about to say like it was completely different than the entire piece.
Yes, yeah, for sure. You could hear her percussion and obviously her totally unique voice over everything. Let me show you what the sample is. You might recognize It happens at 1:11. You hear that? It. So she just sampled this Schoenberg piece, and I think she sampled other parts of it. Yes. Are you next? Oh. Oh my. Okay, I'll help you with that. Okay. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to skip my favorite song, but really quick. Oceania, you should definitely go listen to this. It's really amazing. Okay. What do you take away from Bjork? Does anyone have any? Technology for sure. What did you think of her melodic style? Her vocal phrasing? Do her melodies sound like they're trying to be like catchy pop melodies most of the time? No, not really. Am I still sharing my screen? Oh, I stopped sharing my screen. Oh, that's okay. Hope you liked her. I think she's super inspiring. She's one of those artists that I would not I don't listen to her and think oh, I'm gonna take that chord or take that melody or something. She's like one of those artists that makes me feel like she totally found her own sound and is always like inspired by other music and pulling from other things. And she kind of inspires me to be myself and like take risks and be creative with whatever crazy idea I have. I'm like, oh, should I do that? And I'm like, would Bjork do that? I think Bjork would do that. I'm gonna try it. And even if it doesn't sound good, it's always a good experiment. It always pays off. So go check out Oceania, by the way, at some point. It's a really beautiful song. The chords are super cool. Okay. Thanks everyone. I hope this was inspiring.